been former, they claim now they're kind of walked away from the QAnon cult, but they are longtime adherents of it. There's plenty of evidence to suggest that they still are adherents of that view. You had a situation on last Wednesday, in addition to Mikey Sherrill making some of these points that you've been talking about. Last night, AOC was on a live stream and said that in the middle of the mayhem last Wednesday, as she feared for her life, she was looking at points of entrance and egress and making decisions about how to try to escape on the basis of seeing some of these members of Congress in certain places and saying, I don't feel safe going that way because I don't trust those members who are out front white supremacists or members of QAnon. I don't trust them not to make a phone call and identify and give my location to the rioters, to the insurrectionists. Think about what that does to the culture on Capitol Hill to have members of color looking at their fellow members across the partisan aisle, but who are out front white supremacists, out front believers in the QAnon conspiracy, the craziness you just talked about. Think about what that does culturally within the House. And then think about what it means for the Republican Party that we now have actual elected adherents of views that are this outside what was once the mainstream. These are increasingly becoming mainstream views within the Republican Party. Again, it points to what the great danger here is, that we're heading into an era potentially of much more frequent. I talked about this yesterday on the show, and it's my great fear that we're about to head into an era in which political violence in America becomes more normalized. I think that is really the great challenge ahead of us.
There is an old saying that says, in Washington, just because you're paranoid, it doesn't mean everybody's not out to get you. Well, that doesn't apply to AOC because she's not being paranoid. Neither are other members of the so-called squad being paranoid when Donald Trump is inciting crowds, telling them to go back where they came from. When a sitting member of Congress, please, you have a lot of stuff coming at you every day. All right? Just put down the spoon for a second. Cheerios will be there when you're done. I just want you to contemplate this. A sitting member of Congress ran a political advertisement where she was holding a gun, and she said she was going after Democratic members of Congress when she got elected. And of course, AOC was one of those targets. I'm sure the others were the squad members. So does AOC and other members of the squad and Nancy Pelosi and, well, Mike Pence kind of got the taste of it on Insurrection Day on January the 6th. Do they have a reason to be fearful for their life? Are they being paranoid? Are they being... No. Just imagine if you had to go to work today and you had a member working in your office that had sent an email around and somebody, a co-employee, was carrying a gun and said, I'm coming after you, and had your picture up there, would you feel safe going to work? Would you go to HR and say, yeah, this is what I think this person needs to be fired? And if they couldn't be fired, you'd probably want metal detectors up because they've already threatened to kill you. And a week after an insurrection took place, Republican members, with this as a background, they're pissed off that they got to walk through metal detectors. What planet are these people on? They laugh when they're confined in a room with a cancer survivor who politely asks them to put on masks, and now she has COVID? Who are these people? As my grandmother would ask from Dalton, Georgia, were they raised in a barn? This isn't about politics. It's about being considered. This is about being just a decent human being. What has happened to these people? And a lot of them claim to be Christians. I see no parallel between the red words that my children and I read in the Gospels of Jesus Christ and the actions of these people. They can't act the way they do and hide behind abortion, somehow justifying, reducing Christianity down to abortion. They can't do it. They can't justify all their hateful, vile, unchristlike behavior. And Donald Trump, he gives a speech last night, thank God. I don't care why he did it. Glad he